This place hosts the most prestigious sprint car race in the world, but it's more than just a racetrack. There's a museum, 2 halls of fame, and also a building that even most locals don't even know about. In this video, you'll see inside Knoxville Raceway like never before. Hey everyone, are you in business for yourself? Maybe you own and run a transport business and are eyeing off a new truck or trailer, or maybe you're a tradesman needing another essential tool. Well, here's a game changer for you. Check out Credit One Equipment Finance. They are Australia's top choice for financing for good reason. Whether it's transport, construction, farming, or any trade, Credit One Equipment Finance is perfect for your business. No matter your industry or equipment needs, Credit One Equipment Finance is your go-to solution. They understand that growing your business means having the right equipment and tools, which often requires substantial investment. With Credit One's diverse finance options, you can acquire your excavator, van, truck, crane, or whatever your job demands. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Check out over 1,800 glowing 5-star reviews on Google. That's right, 1,800 and counting. For competitive rates and solutions that beat the banks, and for lightning fast loan approvals, visit www.creditoneequipmentfinance.com.au or click the link in the video description below. Empower your business today with Credit One Equipment Finance. Almost an hour drive from Iowa's capital city of Des Moines is Knoxville Raceway. There's not much to see on the way other than corn, but once sprint car fans get here, you'll know you're in the right place, especially if you come in early August. Originally built in 1878 for horse racing, the Marion County Fairgrounds Knoxville Raceway had banking added in 1954 before hosting sprint car racing from 1960. Today, Knoxville Raceway is a dirt racing facility that brings in people from all over the world, including me and a bunch of other Aussies. As far as racing events, you'll see the most Aussies at the event I'm at right now, the 410 cubic inch Knoxville Nationals, which is without doubt the most prestigious event that you'll find in all of sprint car racing. What's cool about Knoxville is that they have a very strong weekly program of 410s, 360s, and pro sprints. There's the late model nationals, which doesn't seem as big as Eldora's late model events. The track has also hosted the NASCAR trucks, but isn't scheduled to return anytime soon. The track itself is known to have a dark colored clay known as Zook clay, prepared by the highly respected Duncan family and their small team of people. It's a half mile in distance on the pole line and a 5/8 of a mile on the outside fence. The corners are roughly 65 to 70 foot wide, about 50 foot wide on the front stretch and 60 foot wide on the back stretch. Track banking is about 8 degrees, which isn't very much. One thing that we've shown in years past is the huge berm on the pole line, which doesn't seem so big when watching on a screen or even from the grandstand. But when you get down close, you realize that it's quite sufficient and would easily unsettle a car if you grab too much of it. All of these aspects contribute to what I think creates a unique and technical style of racing. It's always so easily distinguishable with the very tall guardrails in the corners as opposed to concrete walls at other tracks, or even the low guardrail barriers used at somewhere like Williams Grove. When it comes to staying at Knoxville Raceway, there's some camping, but it's somewhat limited compared to the size of the Nationals crowd. The camping around turns 3 and 4 is saved for drivers, team owners, sponsors, and VIPs. So unlike Eldora for, say, the Kings Royal, people stay in the local town. There's a few motels along the main strip, but interestingly, the Fair Board, which owns Knoxville Raceway, also owns other lots along the strip, and not just the actual racetrack property. Known as the North Campground, Knoxville Raceway owns this giant spot here, which is almost like its own little village during Nationals week. Just south of that is the other smaller campground, which is privately owned and has a sprint car on a pole out the front. You'll also see a lot of campers on the front lawns of the houses. Apart from that, unless you know someone who can give you somewhere to stay in Knoxville, you'd have to stay in a nearby town or even the capital of Iowa, which is Des Moines or Des Moines. Next up is competitor parking, and yes, they all park on the infield. All of their rigs fit too, but for the Knoxville Nationals, the big haulers are banned from the infield during the races and teams have to bring open trailers. I think this was first implemented to help viewing when the race first appeared on TV. Speaking of the infield, there's only a few small buildings located in there, which are for the toilets, concession stand, and a small room for the Infield Care Center, which was mandated by NASCAR for them to run an event there. A relatively new addition to the infield is the Musco lighting that you see on the light poles. They change to all kinds of colors and are even used to easily indicate the on-track racing status. When it comes time for a 4 wide, the lighting along with the suites flicking their lights on and off and the fireworks show, the Knoxville atmosphere is electric. Outside of the track are a bunch of other buildings that not many of you may know their uses. The best way to do this is start at the entrance and work our way around. Just as you walk in, on the right hand side is the skate pit. This building is used as a rink for kids to skate just about every Friday night outside of racing season. The building has just had some upgrades done to it, and during racing season is used partly to hold a trade show and partly for hospitality events. Behind that is where the fan zone is. That area is basically where all of the merchandise trailers are planted. Behind those, on the other side of the fence, is a building which houses all of the fair equipment. Yes, this site is used for a fair, but more on that a little bit later. Moving our way behind the front stretch grandstand is the ticketing and staff offices building. Then there is the media center, and just next to that is the Dyer Hudson Hall. The hall is used for hospitality events and special events like the Knoxville Nationals Queens Contest, which I happen to be a judge for in 2024 along with Rico Abreu and Danny Lazowski, 3 greats of Knoxville Raceway. The hall also has a large storage room along with amenities. Under the grandstand are a bunch of concession stands and entry to the seating, but there's also the Knoxville Raceway Hall of Fame. It's kind of a little hole in the wall spot that has member plaques nicely displayed, but this isn't the only Hall of Fame on site. We'll get to the other one a little bit later. Knoxville Raceway now has 3 elevators. There's the suite level elevator and the 2 much more new grandstand elevators. And the best part is that at the very bottom of those brand new elevators is the Sprinker Hub stall during Knoxville Nationals Week. At our stall, we've got all kinds of merchandise available, but if you can't make it to the Nationals, you can still get any and all of your gear over on our online store at sprinkerhub.com. Up a bit further are a bunch of big barns. Firstly, this barn is where the post-race press conferences are held during the Knoxville Nationals. Cool that fans now have access to attend this, an initiative introduced recently. During a fair, this is used as the show barn. The barn behind it is used for campers or sheep. Next to that is the pig barn, or for track equipment and ambulances. The next one along is the cattle barn, but holds golf carts too. Behind this one is also a wash bay where all track equipment gets washed. Then there's the goat barn, but houses campers during the Nationals. Behind that is the chicken barn, but also where cleaning equipment is kept. And lastly is the horse barn, but is used for employee parking during the Nationals. Now onto the suites. The Knoxville Raceway has 32 suites along the front stretch. You can see there's way more rooms than that, but they aren't all suites. This is also where the announcers announce from, along with the press box, scoring, and where race director John McCoy does his thing. Inside the front stretch suites is a small kitchenette, couch, a bench, and plenty of chairs. They are very nice suites, and the view of the racetrack does not get any better. It's actually up really high and still really close to the track. This is probably only my second time in one of these suites, and it is such a great view. A relatively new addition in front of the suites is the glowing Knoxville Raceway sign. The bleachers on the front stretch are huge, holding almost 13,000 people. The back stretch holds just shy of 7,500 people, but is only ever used for the Nationals. It's a weird one because looking at the empty backstretch at any other event really removes the atmosphere. I'm told that in 2024, for the 7th consecutive year, the Saturday night of the Knoxville Nationals was sold out. The only other place to sit and watch the racing from when you're at Knoxville Raceway is the Hall of Fame. And yes, this is the second Hall of Fame on site. There's not only both a Knoxville Raceway Hall of Fame and a National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, but there's also a museum. And here's where things get interesting, because the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum kind of has almost nothing to do with the racetrack itself. It is a completely separate entity that leases the location off of the fairboard which operates the raceway. Like it says in the name, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame covers sprint car racing from across the entire country, not just Knoxville. This also means that inside their gift shop, they don't even sell Knoxville Raceway merchandise, because if they did, they'd be just as obligated to sell gear from other tracks. The gift shop is what you first see on the right when entering the building. To the left is a display, and straight ahead is the actual museum itself, which is something I look forward to seeing every year. I need to add that there's also a display of Australian sprint car racing, which is very cool to see. Kind of makes it the International Sprint Car Museum, right? All of that is just on the bottom level though. There's 3 more levels. You can either take the stairs or the elevator, but on level 2 is what they call the clubhouse, which is a big open room of viewing the racing and also a small theater. This level is also where they hold special speaking events. On race nights, it holds up to around 200 people, but it'll hold about 300 people for weddings. Imagine having your wedding at Knoxville Raceway, isn't that cool? As this building obviously has viewing spots of the track and racing, a percentage of every ticket sold by the Hall of Fame organization goes to Knoxville Raceway. On levels 3 and 4 is the actual suites. There are 10 suites on each floor and they can seat up to 24 people each. Do you know how many people that is? Carry the 7. It's a lot of people. I've watched the Nationals from the Hall of Fame suites a few times and there really is no better view. In fact, at Knoxville Raceway, I don't think there really is a bad view. 7 years ago, the Hall of Fame organization added the Brian Clausen Suite Tower right next door. In fact, they have separate entrances at the ground level, but they are connected higher up. This building has 12 suites and a rooftop, which has an incredible view. From 2025, there will be an identical building built on the highway side of the Hall of Fame. This will be named the Dennis Allbar Tower. The only difference, I'm told, will be that there will be no rooftop view like the Brian Clausen Suite Tower. As I lay out in this video, sprint car racing and the raceway is pretty much the centerpiece of the entire town. The town loves racing so much that they even have this secret building that not many people know about. When I say not many, I'm told that the people within the racing industry and even a lot of the locals don't even know it's there. You won't find it on Google and you won't see a sign out the front either. They simply just don't make a big deal of it. This building is part of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum and is called the Library and Research Center. It has 4 full-time employees and houses the largest collection of motorsports periodicals in the world. It houses things like uniforms, trophies. I'm told that inside it has a copy of every sprint car diecast ever made. I want to go inside just for that. And I've actually spoken to Bill Wright at the Hall of Fame, and when I come back to Knoxville, I'm going to do a video on it. I'm told that they even provided a lot of the photos for the Lost Speedway show run by Dale Earnhardt Jr. How cool is all of this? And no one really knows about it. I will say though, this building is not really open for the public, and although it is extremely close to the racetrack, I won't tell you where it is. Maybe you can pause this video and actually work out exactly where it is. When it comes to what makes Knoxville Raceway so special and what I like, I can't really explain it without saying what makes it special during Nationals Week, because that's all I really know. There's the golf carts that everyone drives around the main strip. There's the special paint schemes that are rolled out just for this race. There's the split qualifying nights and overall format that makes all 4 nights so good. Little things like the specific banners all around the facility, the Queen's Pageant and so many other events during the 4 days, the street parade on the Saturday, the checkered pedestrian crossing, the merch stalls in the fairgrounds and even across the street, and of course the beautiful Hall of Fame and Museum is a must. I just love how the entire town embraces the racing, or at least most of the town anyway. Sprint car racing succeeds in small towns and Knoxville is the perfect fit. It goes to show you that if you can build an event, the entire town can get behind it and benefit from it. When you're at Knoxville, it feels like you can't escape sprint car racing no matter where you go, and I love it. There's even signs at the Des Moines airport and you'll definitely see race fans when you're there. Not only that, but local businesses and shops support the races. Even the local Walmart sells sprint car merchandise. Okay, so what do I dislike? Of course, there's not much to dislike about Knoxville Raceway. As a content creator, I do wish the media center was on the infield instead of outside the track because, for example, Eldora's media center location is just so much more convenient during a night of racing. Basically, once engines fire, I can't use the media center at all because I'm out on the infield, and it usually closes before I finish filming anyway. I hope you all enjoyed this insight. Head over to our socials if you want to connect and chat more. But what I'd really love you to do is make sure you've subscribed up here and also check out sprintcarhub.com to get your gear. I know a lot of important people and I'm actually really important myself. Maybe that's a blooper at the end. I'm kind of a big deal. I'm just kidding. Not kind of.